everybody.
Hello.
So really quickly, I'll go over the stats. I'll actually go over the stats for this past week more thoroughly than for the whole month. So from the 22nd to the 28th, we had 0 murders in Blue Hills, 0 sexual assaults, 0 robberies, just 1 assault out of 10. Let's see, that's actually for the North End. We had 0 burglaries, 0 larcenies, and we had 5 burglaries for the North End, 26 for the North End. Just 1 motor vehicle theft. So that's 2 documented incidents out of 50 in the North End, which is 4% of all the incidents in the North End. Now, if we compare it to the city, where we have 4 robberies altogether, 0 in Blue Hills, 17 assaults, 1 in Blue Hills, 12 burglaries, none of them happened in Blue Hills, 74 larcenies, none of them happened in Blue Hills, 18 motor vehicle thefts, and just 1 in Blue Hills. So 2 for Blue Hills out of 120. Right now we're at 1.6% out of the total documented incidents. If I go back to the week of the 15th through the 21st, we had 3 documented incidents for all of Blue Hills, and that's 86 for the North End, 120 for the entire city, so about 2% of all reported incidents. If I go back further, for January 8th through the 14th, we have 1 documented incident in Blue Hills, 44 in the North End. For the whole city, that was 103, so 1 out of 103, we were actually below 1% in documented crimes.
So we're averaging 100 incidents a month?
Let me see.
Citywide?
Citywide, yeah. But of course, you know, it's not reflective in Blue Hills. Yeah. It's relatively safe up here. And then January 1st through the 7th, again, we had 1 documented incident out of 91 for the entire city, so we were just above 1%. As far as Blue Hills, again, really low crime rate. We have hardly any incidents, and if we are having incidents, they're just not being reported for some reason. We're doing good. I said that last time. I said that the week before that. The last time we were having issues were involved the shootings. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. And I really don't know how.
When they went to the Northeast.
Yeah, well, that's going on over there right now. I'm actually a part of a detail today. We're trying to kind of hammer the Bedford area, the Nelson area, yeah. Judson, Barber. It's been pretty busy with the shootings, but that's why I'm trying to get out there as soon as possible. I don't know if you have any questions regarding anything that's going on.
What is the police department doing to try to improve those numbers?
They're asking for your help in recruiting and getting names.
I try every day.
So think about how hard it is for you. Imagine how hard it is for them. Yeah,
that's the first thing when people ask them what they want to do when they grow up. It's never a police officer.
Our knows it's like pulling teeth. You know, fire, you get 1,000 people.
Oh yeah, 800 people show up for fire.
But when you police, it's just like, nah, man, I'm good.
But how can we change that mentality?
I think we need to start, I think, first of all, the worst thing a parent can do is say to their kids, if you do something bad, we'll call the police. Because you teach them to hate the police and to fear them. But it's like,
but if you start a fire, you gotta call the fire.
But you know, you say if you do wrong, but you have to say if you're following by the book, the police are there to protect you. They are your friend. If I'm not around and something happens, you see an officer, you can go to them. They're there to protect you. And I think it's about building up that mentality that you're not ratting somebody out. Like, listen, I own a home. I want that. I want it to be there every night I go home, and I don't want nobody in it. So the police are my friends because they protect what I care about, my interests, my family. And we need to, from a young age, remind kids that, you know, they're not our enemies. They're really here to help us.
Well, I grew up with a whole bunch of like CBK police officers. Yeah. So, but it started at school.
Right.
A lot of times, you know, our parents were in the military or our parents were whatever. But when Mr. Officer Friendly used to go into school, he doesn't do that anymore. So no one sees Mr. Officer Friendly anymore. I tell them you need to start building a relationship because a lot of you are starting to get old and you're about to retire. We have one officer I know in traffic, sergeant, and he hasn't left. But his job is not one of those that you can just put somebody else in it. You have to be trained. So in order for him to be able to train someone, you got to get somebody to that sergeant position.
But you know, the other thing that I always tell people too, like when you walk down the street, not everybody's smiling at you. So we have to remember they have personalities too. And outside of the uniform, there are people. So some days we have bad days. You know me, I'm always smiling. But some days I just be, you know, when it gets too much.
No, I smile. But the people passing me, a lot of them stop in the middle of traffic. You always smile. You're always happy. I listen to my music and I am happy.
But not everybody. So there are some officers that I just, and then they have a dry sense of humor, but you would never know interacting with them because they're so focused and they're trained to be always alert and looking. So it's, you know, I give them the benefit of the doubt.
Some of the problem is basically the root cause. We gotta look at this and say, what is the reason why the youth probably don't want to turn into this or trying to go towards this? And when we look at it, it's basically we are, as teenagers, are engaged by the mindset and social media, and basically every media out there is like targeting like police officers as being the bad guy or making them the negative things on the screen. So we not going out there to do a research and see the other side, so look from a different perspective. We just look at it and just go what the media say, most of us. And the thing about that is most time it's false media and it's always targeted bad thing, because how much time we go out and see in the news and say, oh, this police officer did this, whatever, to these kids and it was good. It's always targeted bad things because that's what people want. Entertainment, like we said about the fire. If there's a fire, everybody gonna come to the fire versus somebody, oh, this police officer just brought across the street with this kid. Nobody's gonna like target that, put that in the put that on the media as being the targeted thingy. They're gonna look for the negative because it's what really entertain people. But overall, what I think is we gotta actually like go into the media mindset and kind of like change how the media like view police officer or whatever. And then we need, like you said, to get in.
Here goes our next recruiting spokesperson.
Well, I'm hoping that he will do something like that because this is what we're talking about. We need to bring a better image. And like you say, there's a lot of good things. Like Officer Barrett does amazing things, but you only hear about it maybe once or twice a year, right? But he does it all year round. So those are the kind of things that we need to hear more about.
It's up to us as a community to continue to spread the good news. So one of the things that I'm on is that Next Door platform with Rhonda, and they're always sharing good things that somebody did or an officer did. So I think just as a community, if we want to we need to share those good things when it happens. Because the officers, they help us when I work with the Urban League and I do my back to school drive and I do my toy drive. They're always with us out there donating, bringing stuff and interacting with the kids. But you're right, we invite the media, but we don't get that attention because negative things get. So we need to figure out, your generation, how we help spread the good things. Those are the things that even my office look for to share on our social media page and when we email out. We want those good stories, but we get calls all the time about what the bad things that are happening and not with the good things. I would love for at least once a day, I'll take once or twice a week to get a good story. But all we get is the complaints and what's broken and what's not working, and we never hear what is.
So when you say that, do you ever get stories that you can share with the media? Because you say you don't get...
we have stuff, absolutely. We will share it, we will invite it. You email, they can email all the stuff.
Doing that, that's why I'm asking. I see at the towns like how the young man, he helped him put air in his tire. The other guy brought a bicycle for the child and different things like that. But I want to hear something that Hartford police officers.
So one of the challenges, so when you think about it, it's unfortunate for us, right? So that town may be small and that's their news, right? But by the time you go to share a positive story and a shooting happened last night, that one get dropped. Because we always say, anytime you have something good happening, everybody always say, knock on wood, it's a slow news day. Because that's when they come. Because if something else happened, a shooting or maybe an overdose or God forbid, that's what all go to that. Even if it's a 5-second clip, they will go to that because that's what will get them the rating. And then the good story, you'll see it at the bottom on the last page, or you'll have to go online. They recorded the video, but it's not, you have to like dig and search to find it. But I'll try to get some more, and if you have any, share them. I'll love to share them.
So I just had a couple of questions and comments. Does the Hartford still do DARE? Remember DARE?
Not since he retired. I haven't seen anybody else pick it
Well,
up.
that was really cute, and that can probably help go inside the little elementary schools and teach kids about DARE. I remember it was Officer Jones, and like to this day, I still remember his name. When I see him on the street, I'm like always smiling at him. Another thing to self-promote as well, maybe the city can hire a marketing representative. I do marketing, social media for the Hartford Police Department.
So our marketing department got cut. A lot of positions were cut. We are operating on necessity. Like a lot of stuff that you see, it's somebody picking up and doing things.
Yeah.
And we have something. We have interns who, but those positions were cut.
Okay.
Like our whole marketing department.
Yeah,
no.
Another thing is, in terms of, just to join the conversation, in terms of good media, I read the Hartford Current, and when there is a drug bust or anything like that, I think that's excellent media. There's them do their job taking guns and drugs off the street. I hate to hear about a police officer saving a deer. I don't care about that deer. I do care about the drug bust. So in terms of what's going on, you know, it's in the Hartford Current. Whenever they do their job, I appreciate that. So
Yeah, they're doing.
I see it in the media.
And if you guys have never been to the, you know, the ComStat, the one that they do with the whole city, you guys should go because they always talk about how great Blue Hills is. You can do a field trip to represent, so you guys can get the chair because they talk about Blue Hills having the lowest incidence. So you guys should be there to get some of that.
Yeah.
But I was saying that the officer talked about the partnership. I'm not well versed in it, that we have in terms of how we're approaching the gangs, and they talked about it at ComStat. No, with ComStat, with the partnership with the FBI and the DEA and that one. Is that what it's called? But basically, basically they're all this partnership with all this federal agency now to be more aggressive about the violence within our communities, because they want to not just go after, if there is a gang and one person is doing something, they're going to be going and looking at all of them. So hopefully to get it to diminish.
I was gonna say we kind of have a similar meeting last month with Ms. Diane and a couple more of my representatives. We was actually doing a similar meeting with basically law enforcers, sponsors, and also people in the community that's, you know, community leaders that's gonna go there, you know, organizing all of those that's gonna go to the crime scene and try to do their work there. And we was basically talking about what is the cause for violence in the city, and then we talk about the root causes of violence, such as being like, basically the city is like, we have property over here, we don't have no jobs after school, like who provide programs that are there to like need to help these kids after they come out after school. They don't go home, they're gonna go on the street because they need some way to occupy their time. And if you don't have like jobs and all these stuff and any after school program to do that, then it's not gonna really make any difference. And then we have our program on the CT Center for Nonviolence, and our program, what we do is we basically look at conflicts, you know, analyze conflicts, look at bigger picture, look at violence, and see how we can look at a non-violence approach like Dr. King. Our headquarters is in Yukon. Yeah, Yukon Center, but we are partnered with many organizations. This summer, when I work in this program, they teach me how to look at the principle of nonviolence, level of conflict, way different type of love, and all these type of stuff. Look at a Kingian way instead of retaliate against violence with violence. Like Dr. King said, violence only bring more violence. So you got to look at a different approach, using love to achieve or reconcile a better outcome instead of just resolving it with just using violence. And this summer we trained over 44 kids. I trained, me and my colleague, and New Haven we trained about 20 something more others, and then we just keep doing this training each summer because we're trying to take a step, go in the community and try to get these young folks educated the Kingian philosophy and how Dr. King uses principles and all these type of stuff in order to bring about change in the country. So we basically trying to work on that too. And when we say non-violence, it seemed like, you know, not doing violence or going against violence, just walk. If something happening, I'm not going to do about it, so I'm going to be non-violence. What we do, we use active resistance against violence. We try to use other method to retaliate violence in a good way, not just to go at violence with a violence approach. We try to use love, because at the center of non-violence, we stand this principle of love. Dr. King said the only way you can win over enemies by love. The reason why we also do this training, is when we're doing this training, it doesn't become a training. After a while, it becomes a lifestyle. And we live in a Kenyan lifestyle. You look at the problem, you look at things like, for example, you got principle 1, non-violence is a way of life for courageous people. Principle 2, the beloved community is the framework for the future. Principle 3, attack the force of evil, not the person doing the evil. Principle 4, avoid internal violence as the spirit, as well as physical external violence. 5, accept suffering without retaliation for the sake of a cause in order to achieve a goal.
Do you go out and recruit students, or do you do certain students from your school, or is it just students?
We train in Hartford I. We have a program set up there, and we training with our enrichment center. We train there. We train after school sometime at the Hartford Public Library, and at the YMCA we train on Fridays. That's for the next level. And we do this.
that for a fee, or do that voluntarily?
It's funded through the state. We got state funding from State Representative Doug McCrory, who put money in Blue Hills, and they partner with us. And then we do it through the summer through the CWP funds. And then we
so they get a stipend.
We have several other grants they operate on, but we got cut drastically, and that's why we're not consistent, but we have been for the past 3 years. Now, New Haven, funding is still kind of going on, because we train in New Haven as well. We even train the cadets, the new cadets for police, so that they can kind of be aware of what to expect going into the urban setting. And so the kids don't do that training. We have, we operate on Dr. King's philosophy, what he used to transform a country. So we have police that are trained professionals in this field. So they do the training for police in New Haven. We have several.
I know most of the people here, but if not, I'm Foy Smith. I'm the probate judge for Hartford, City of Hartford, all of Hartford. And right here you'll see, this is Shantae Brody. Shantae Brody, I hired her. We have I created a community sort of like job. Half her job is to do community work, and then we actually overwork her in the courthouse too. But she creates all kind of nifty things for us. So when we go out and do probate clinics or just talk to groups. So my concern when I was running, and I promised and I stayed true to it, is so that people will understand all of the, or most of the jurisdictions that get handled in probate court, because people think it's just the states. When someone dies, you go out of probate. But we handle all of these matters. Deceit in the states, conservatorships, underage marriages, removal of parents, guardianship changes, termination of parental rights, emancipations for underage kids when they want to divorce their parents per se, guardian of estates. Say for instance, you have a child, anyone here have a kid under 18 and they get into a car accident and then there's a lawsuit and the money, and it's over $10,000 and the insurance company won't release it until there's a guardian of the state appointed. You come to probate, they come to probate and I have to approve it, the compromise of claim, and also appoint a guardian for that estate. So it doesn't mean they have to be deceased, it's just that there's an estate. And adoptions, both adult and children, name changes, both adult and children, quarantine and isolation comes out of probate, removal of life support, mental health commitments, substance abuse commitments. I'm here almost every day, upstairs, 7th and 8th floor. For those, in guardianship for individuals who are intellectually disabled, those are GIDs, and there's more.
So emancipation, how old? What's the oldest you can be?
I actually haven't had any emancipation in this job. I've had clients when I was a public defender years ago for juveniles who were trying to be emancipated. And quarantine hasn't come up in court. You know, those are far and very few in between. But you have to prove that you can take care of yourself, that you have a job. And sometimes, you know, people get married and you're taking care of, you don't need an adult. I mean, it's a hard threshold to meet, because you don't want to just have kids out, you know, fending for themselves.
So is there age though?
For an emancipation, was it 15? 6? No.
I don't think you have to do it at 16.
No.
You can just leave home.
You talking about DCI?
You can just leave home at 16, right?
Yeah, if you can prove, I mean, you don't even have to finish high school. Some things that's different. You don't have to be. This is you want to be emancipated, and your parents are no longer responsible for you, and you're responsible for yourself. See, there's an emancipation.
So if you go out and do something, your parents are no longer legally responsible for you once
If you're emancipated, yes.
Really?
If you're emancipated, or if you're in the custody, if you're removed, say if there was a termination of parental rights, or if you're removed as guardians, it's the same thing. Your parents wouldn't be responsible for you. But what I was here, more importantly, was more so community stuff, people handling business. Because I have so many people that come into court after something bad has happened, when it could have been prevented ahead of time. Say for instance, if someone gets sick, we have a lot of people who have a stroke, or they do pass, or they're unable to speak for themselves, and we have family members that once loved each other that turn into rivals. I mean, sometimes knock down, drag out fights over simple things as what mom wanted to wear for the funeral. And I worked with a few people and came up with this questionnaire form. And at each place we go to, we find someone who volunteered to be an ambassador. We talked to Ms. Digo.
She went to go check on.
Oh, she agreed to do it for this area. We have Ms. Barbara Diggs over there at the senior center, just different places. We went over to the South End Senior Center. There's people over there, and Karen Cato for some of the senior apartments. And it's a questionnaire, and they're simple questions, but they would be very important as far as, are you a veteran? Did you serve in the armed forces? Because if something happens, maybe you could get benefits from there, or maybe you could get services from there. If you have a life insurance policy, where are your children? Where are your important papers located? Some people are here alone and they don't have any family, and they don't have anyone to give this to. So that's why I said we need to get ambassadors that are part of groups, so that way they can say, listen, I don't have anyone, will you hold this for me in your folders? If anything happens to me, someone can pull this. We included things like, if you were to pass, you know, what scripture would you like read? You know, what church are you affiliated with? Sometimes people, I go into hospital rooms all of the time, and people aren't able to speak for themselves, and this information just isn't sitting, you know, in your coat pocket. And I mean, they have to come in, ask for a temporary conservator person to be appointed to make these decisions for you, when in fact they could be making decisions
ahead of time.
And they could be offensive to you. You know, they don't know your religion. Maybe your religion, you would have never agreed to some of the stuff that has happened, but if you don't let people know ahead of time, you know, I just have to appoint someone. Yep.
So if you, okay, say you die, you only have one child, you're not married, but you have aunts, uncles, cousins, or whatever. You didn't have a will.
Intestate, right? Okay.
Right. So if that happens, everything automatically goes to the child, right?
Well, no,
Or does
not
it
really.
depend?
That's no. When you say everything, so the state of Connecticut has this little law that, you know, if you have had some kind of state assistance, and it could be corrections, it could be medical, and this is the thing I'm working in collaboration with Harper Hill. He's doing a program at Mount Olive later on this month, 2 weeks, and it's about estate planning and things. Some people think, I would say, if you're conserved, ask your conservator, or you have a loved one that's conserved or something, try to do prepaid funeral plans, because you can't think that the estate is going to cover the funeral, because you may owe money, or that person may owe money that you don't know about. So then you think you're going to get mom's house. Maybe you got the house and then tested, but however, mom owed $95,000 to the state. So that means that the state is going to force a sale, because they have to get their money, and they get half of what you get, but it's a mathematical. Trust me.
Okay.
It's a fight for it.
So so the question goes with that: if you were on the state, and I know, like, even with lawsuits,
if you were on the
accidents,
state,
they come get their money first.
Yes.
They don't care if it was 50 years ago. They gonna get what they. Okay. So with that being said, that person died. They didn't leave a will. They have one child. They own several properties.
Right.
They were never married.
Okay.
They have some blood relatives. Do they that still goes through probate, or does it have to go through probate?
It depends on what the property is, because
if you own the property in joint in survivorship, it automatically goes to that person, the other person. If you forgot that one word, we've had that happen when people thought that they owned property in survivorship when they just had, they owned it jointly, but it wasn't in survivorship, meaning only half of it is theirs, the other half goes to someone else. So survivorship is a very important word that people have to remember to check on that deed to make sure it says that.
And it can go for years, right?
You know, unclaimed assets pop up, or sometimes you'll get contacted. So people sometimes have credit cards that have insurance, life insurance attached to them. Sometimes they'll contact you, say, hey, we've got $3,000 that this person checked the box up on the application and we don't know what to do with it. It'll go back into the estate.
I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to let the audience ask you a question. So, when a person passes,
yes,
they have nothing set up, right?
Yeah.
That means they didn't do a will.
Right.
They didn't put. You could put stuff in writing and have it notarized.
Who can?
Can people put things in the person before they pass away? Suppose they don't want to pay for a will, but can they put something in writing, have 2 witnesses, and have it notarized?
That's kind of sort of a will.
Kind of.
I mean, but it would have to. We would have to look at it. The thing about it, you can't just write down, I'm giving my house away, because there's a process. There's a legal process. You can't just sign over the deed unless it's paid for, and you still have to show proof because it has to be recorded down for taxes and location and things like, you know, liability. So you can't just do it the way in the old days when you just write down on the napkin. You know, but I mean, we have some that are old, that people had a long time ago. But if they're properly executed, it's a will. It doesn't have to be typed. If it's executed, it's executed. You have the witnesses, and the witnesses really attest to, you know, acknowledge that you were there. This is you, not to what's in the will. Because you can write a will and give away property you don't own. Like someone can say, I'll give and you know, where I live. And it's how? I mean, just because you write it down doesn't make it so. You know, doesn't make it so. So that's why you have to admit the will. There's a whole process. But most people, if they're going to go through to that length, they would just go. Nowadays with computers, you can download, you can print out, you can go different places and pick out just an old standard will where you fill in, and you know, you hope that they plan, but. A lot of people don't have enough. They think they don't have enough to put in the will. You don't own the house, so you had a reverse mortgage, and the only thing left is the mortgage. Family comes down there and they think that, oh, mommy gave me the house, but she didn't tell you that she had taken out 2 more mortgages on this house. So you want to take over the mortgage payments? We can do that. So it's a lot. That's why I said I press this so much, because people have to fill these out, and they have to, you know, let families know what's going on with them. And Shantae has a few of them. She'll pass them out.
And then another one like that?
We got a whole bunch. She's gonna. And we bought for Ms. D just some booklets about certain topics. This is for conservators. This is for guardians of minors, and understanding trust and decedent estates. So we like to leave it with whoever is the honorary probate ambassador. So when someone has questions, and then that person has a direct line to us, they can call Shantae, hey, I'm over here. Remember you came to the NRZ, I'm the ambassador over there, I have a person here. You know, they have some questions. Do they need to come down there and schedule a hearing, or do they need to come down there and talk to someone? She could tell them which person to because everyone doesn't handle everything according, you know, people specialize in certain areas. And it's good to know what to ask for, because sometimes you come down and people are overwhelmed, they don't want to come because they don't even know what topic this actually falls under. Like you may say, I want to terminate my son's father's rights, but you might not want that. You may just want to remove him, or you may just want him to not come around anymore, or need something.
You just want sole custody, but not terminate the rights.
Right, but because the terminology is used interchangeably, and you think so, it's always good to have a conversation before you come. But even though my staff is really good, I mean, they'll take their time at the counter with you. Very rarely do I get complaints, because they've been doing this. Most people in probate have been there 20 years, you know, on the average. They've been there a long time, so they know this job like the back of their hands. So they are the professionals.
So if a person